One Direction was built around Liam Payne by Simon Cowell's, former director at X Factor when he was only 16. Liam was considered the main character of the band for the first album, but that quickly changed when the management team realized Harry Styles had more charisma and began to outshine him. This didn't sit well with Liam, and resented this decision, since he was perceived as the older, boring one. Needless to say, no one in the band had a good time while performing under One Direction. It was publicized that Zayn had anorexia during the band's fame, and Harry couldn't have a normal sex life. Since he was labeled as a womanizer by the management team, Lewis' confidence had shattered, and Niall had his own issues with anxiety. Payne admitted to drug and alcohol abuse during his time in the band. Even though the management failed to meet their duty of care, the band became the only one to have their first four-album debut be #1 on the Billboard 200, becoming one of the biggest boy bands on history with more than 70 million records sold. Unfortunately, not too long after Zayn Malik departed the band to pursue a solo career to focus on his own music on 2015, and a year later everyone else in the band decided to part ways. Even though the group seemed to get along from the get-go, Payne and his bandmates had their share of disagreements before and after One Direction disbanded in 2016. Payne found Malik's exit difficult to move past, alleging in a 2019 interview with British GQ that Malik never formally said goodbye to the group. Also during his 2022 impulsive interview with Logan Paul, Payne detailed the love-hate nature of their bond. Payne later apologized, saying he attended rehab following the appearance and attributed the comments to frustrations with his own career. Payne's solo career never took off the same way as some of his bandmates, and was considered the least successful, making him feel lost and insecure. He was perceived as egotistical and ungrateful and feeling more important than others. But this had a lot to do with the fact that he obtained success rapidly. He was unprepared and didn't know how to process everything that happened to him. The widespread exposure to their personal lives can be very destructive at such a young age. In the days leading up to his death, he was dropped by his record label and had issues with Maya, who was a former girlfriend, who he had been engaged but broken up in 2022 and is the mother of his only son. She sent him a cease and desist letter after repeatedly trying to contact her. That's why so many celebrities tend to rely on drugs as a coping mechanism. Alcohol is a scary addiction, but so is fame. At the end of the day, people with substance abuse are people with underlying problems and traumas, trying to self-medicate to feel better about themselves. The problem with that is that you never get to feel as good as the first time, which consequently makes you chasing the unattainable high, which leads to bigger problems. The day that he passed away, clonazepam, whiskey, and other substances was found in the musician's suite at Casa Sur in Palermo, Argentina. Clonazepam can treat panic disorders and anxiety, but can also cause paranoid or suicidal ideation and impair memory, judgment, and coordination. Combining with other substances, particularly alcohol, can slow breathing and possibly lead to death. Minutes before Payne's fatal fall from a third-floor balcony, the hotel manager placed an emergency call for help. The employee said he feared for the life of a male guest who was high and drunk and staying in a room with a balcony. According to the prosecutor's office, Payne was in a state of semi or total unconsciousness by the time he fell. Liam alcohol consumption throughout the years have been very obvious and deeply worrying to the people around him, and dispute not being as famous as his other band members. His net worth was over $50 million, but all the money in the world can't save you from yourself. An addiction doesn't care how rich you are. Liam was pronounced death on October 16, 2024, at age 31, leaving a son called Bear Liam.